All right, Scott, Tiffany, Love and Live More here with Chine Medina
Nice.
from Argentina.
Chile? Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, we just heard an incredible story, and it's how you had a dark life growing up.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was, the family was good, and your mom and dad loved you, but you were always sad,
Yeah.
and you just figured, I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
I got to a point where you were going to kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this thought wasn't just a whim. This was years of thinking about it. And you finally come to the day that I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And you say, God, if you don't show up, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, your computer starts to go off, wakes you up a little bit, snapshot of what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And it's the pastor of your church who said the Lord had told him to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And now, in that day, do you know what the exact date?
Yeah, it was 18th
The 18th day
February.
of February.
Yeah.
What year?
3 years ago.
Okay, so 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So,
just before COVID.
just right before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that came and went because your pastor obeyed.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about hearing the voice of God and not paying attention,
Yeah, yeah.
and what it could do,
You can save a life.
you can save a life. You can save a life. And with your situation, He did save your life.
Yeah.
You did not use the plan that you had planned.
Mm-hmm.
And now, 2 weeks later, you're in church, and you hear the voice of the Lord. He says, what to you?
He told me that I have to be a missionary. There were a group of missionaries in the church that day,
Yeah,
like a coincidence.
yeah, yeah.
And they were talking to people about missions and about how to do missions with art, music, and everything. So one of the missionaries that I didn't know,
Yeah.
he told me that God wanted me out of the church in the streets because I have spent my whole life in church doing nothing.
Yeah,
And I was serving in the church,
right.
but I was doing nothing.
Well, and we talked to Andrew about that, and faith without works is dead.
Oh yeah.
And we're called to go and do the works. We're called to go and make disciples.
Mhm.
It means to spend time and discipline people.
Yeah.
Not discipline like with a whip or anything, but give them the principles of what God has used other people to tell us about, like what we're learning this week in Montevideo, Colombia. We'll get to that in a minute. So you're told you're going to be a missionary,
Yeah.
and then what happens?
That day, that night, I made my inscription for mission school
Yeah.
in Germany.
Oh,
So-
you actually put in admissions. You sent out a letter.
Yeah, the same day.
The same day.
It was like this.
Yeah.
And next day I started to work in. Did you know Common Lead?
Common life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started to work with them in Buenos Aires.
Okay.
So I started to do missions.
Right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're part of another group that's out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I am now in Stay International.
Okay.
This mission started in Amsterdam in the 80s,
Okay.
a long time ago. But we have city teams in a lot of cities.
Yeah.
So I am in the Buenos Aires team right now
Okay.
in Argentina.
Yeah.
And now that I am in Colombia, I will be in the Bogota team next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long with Steiger? How long do you stay in one area?
What do you mean?
Well, does it depend on the mission? Like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like this here is a 10-day mission.
Yeah, it depends on the mission.
Okay.
Actually, I was not planning to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on the mission.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think you were planning on being in Monterrey, Colombia,
No.
about
I wasn't.
a week and a half ago.
No.
Yeah, but God said, hey, we need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was saying yes before he asked.
So before even Paul asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already knew that if he asks me, I'm going.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit more about your mission work because you've been in other countries.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about where God's already taken you.
In Germany, at the mission schools, I was there for 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, studying about missions and cultures and how to reach the global youth culture
Yeah.
of Jesus and working with local churches.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of people from different countries and that was amazing. And then I have the opportunity to preach the gospel in the street in Dresden
Okay.
with another people, of course in English, and we preach to people from the Islam.
From the Islam culture, the Muslim people.
Yeah. So that was my first time doing that, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we saw a lot of miracles and salvations happen. Then I went to Poland for 1 month on continents again.
Yeah.
And I was with the team of Wrocław, a city in Poland, and yeah, doing outreaches and things like that. Then I came to Colombia in October.
Yeah.
And I stayed in Bogota till February, almost March. Again, doing missions with the Bogota team, and we had outreaches every week,
Yeah.
and also we had public worship, and we had the opportunity to go to pray and to worship in the government.
Oh,
in
wow.
Bogota. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I came back to Buenos Aires, to my house, to my parents.
Yeah.
I have rest for 2 months
Yeah.
almost,
Yeah.
and then I moved to a community house in the city in Buenos Aires with another missionaries.
Yeah.
So now I am living with them.
Okay, and then you met Paul.
Yeah.
What was your encounter with Paul rapidly? We're with Paul now in Monteria. You know, what was that like when you said, if he asked me about it, were you really interested in what he was doing?
Well, I met Paul last year in December
Okay.
in Bogota.
Oh.
He was doing training
Yeah.
in Bogota, and he got me praying for a girl who had a leg shorter than the other,
Yeah.
and he used me as an example,
Yeah.
and the leg grew.
Grew
So I
up.
was like, wow, this is happening, this is real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met him. I have seen Christ in you like years before.
Yeah. The movie Christ in You, which he has a part in.
Yeah, before I met him.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is the guy of the movie, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I met him in December, but 2 weeks ago he went to Buenos Aires to do this training with churches and other ministries, and also to do outreaches with us.
Yeah.
So when he came to our house, we were just having lunch and waiting for the time to go to our church, for the next church that we had. And I was just having fun time with the guys there.
Yeah.
And I hear Holy Spirit telling me, what will happen if he told you that he wants you in his team? And I was like, what? I mean, I have prayed for healing like 2 or 3 times in my life, and that's all.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to translate.
Yeah.
So I started to make a lot of questions in my mind.
Reasons why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah. Why not?
And then I remember that this memory came to my head, and I saw the whole picture when he sent a message to a Colombian girl that I was staying in Bogota with her.
Yeah.
When he invited her to Medellin
Yeah.
to interpret.
Yeah.
So that memory came, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I said to that, you know what, let's wait for the days to pass, and we will talk about this later.
Yeah.
So I had that impression, but yeah, just
So a few days later, he says,
few days later, we were having a meeting with our Buenos Aires city team with Tyler.
yeah,
And I was going to bed because it was so late. And
Yeah.
he told me, I need to have a meeting with you and with your leaders and go to bed. And I said, I am scared. And he said, you're sure? He started to laugh, and I was like, what?
because you're thinking, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was thinking that he was receiving a word from me because we were talking about words of knowledge.
Oh, okay.
So I said, did you receive something from me? And he said, I will not tell you yet, you have to wait.
Okay.
And I was super nervous. And then we had this meeting with my leaders, and he started to tell the story and how he received this healing ministry, and he's passionate about multiplying everything
Yeah.
and training people and training churches and everything. And then he said, I want you in my team. And I was like,
And the Holy Spirit had already prepared you.
yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Actually, months ago,
Yeah.
I had a dream that I was walking in Colombia, crying,
Yeah,
looking at the mountains,
yeah,
and saying to the Lord, thank you because you brought me here again.
yeah.
So I started to pray about that, but nothing was happening because
Yeah.
I had no money and I had no plans to go to Bogota or to Colombia.
Right.
So I told him this dream that I had, and also I told him this Holy Spirit thing that happened
Yep.
and he came, and he was like, so you have the answer.